Hey everyone, Kale here from Longevity Exercise, Physiology and Personal Training. This video here is just a bit of a recap and to digress some of the topics that were brought up in this week's blog, that being what is exercise prescription in terms of a tailored program. Also, how can exercise physiology be used as a treatment method to then help or to manage some some conditions in which you are suffering. So what is a tailored exercise program? A tailored exercise program is a exercise prescription that is devised from objective and subjective data that we gather from our initial consultation. Now, subjectively, that could be your particular ways in which you're feeling. That may be some exercise that you've done in the past. That could be some social history as well. While objectively, we're looking at some of the data that we gather through our testing measures. Now, that could be through your strength, your function, your range. It could be a variety of things too. Now, we then take all that data and collate that into a particular prescription that is tailored to you and your tolerance levels and where you're currently at in terms of your well-being and function, while also trying to mimic that in relation to guidelines that are set for some particular conditions in which you're suffering. Now, an exercise physiologist, we cover a variety of conditions in terms of our treatment plans and modalities, and that may stem from cardiovascular conditions to metabolic conditions, cancer-related complications. They could be mental health, neurological conditions, and the list goes on. Now, we have those guidelines to then help us in terms of some form of strategic plan to then set for you to then objectively achieve, to then allow for the best outcome that we are possibly trying to then tick off, if you will. So not only do we use that guideline measure as some form of obviously guide for you guys to use, but then we try to then keep that in terms of our prescription to give you the best possible outcome, but also keeping you in the safest possible realm as we can. Now, in terms of these guidelines, they then differ between condition to condition, but in terms of our general well-being guidelines, we like to keep an aerobic and a resistive base goal in there weekly, which could be 150 minutes to 250 minutes of moderate exercise, so around that 40 to 60% of your heart rate max, then going into 3 to 5 days of that consistently. Now, that could be broken up into smaller bouts, that could be consistent achievement in terms of your overall goals ticked off, but then again trying to then maintain as much exercise in that week in that possible in your safest possible way. Then you look at your resistive goals as well, so 2 to 3 days non-consecutively around that 2 to 4 set range, 8 to 12 repetitions, around that 60 to 80% of your 1RM. Now again, these guidelines here again try to promote overall well-being and general fitness, but also trying to minimise the risk of progression of these chronic illness, and then of course prevention as well. Now, keep in mind these guidelines will again change, or they will differ between the conditions in which you're facing, but again that probably gives you a really good incentive to talk to an exercise physiologist if you are suffering from one of the conditions in which I mentioned, and how we can help you best moving forward. If you'd like to have any of those questions answered, don't hesitate to give us a call or a text, and we'd love to help you guys. Thank you. Have a great week. See ya.